The 1987 original was a dark comedy about a dystopian future. The 2025 remake isn't a prediction, it's a mirror to the terrifying reality we're already living in. Intro Edgar Wright's remake of The Running Man isn't just a high octane action film. It's a terrifying cultural critique that updates the novel's cynicism for the age of deepfakes and extreme wealth inequality. We're breaking down the three core pillars of this remake: the specific and heartbreaking reasons Ben Richards is forced into the game, how the network weaponizes his life, and the chilling relevance of its anti capitalist message, get ready, because the game doesn't just run anymore, it's streaming, and you are already complicit. Body explanation: the core, premise, and context. To truly understand the genius and the horror of the 2025 remake, we must first establish its foundation. The 1987 film, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, famously discarded the gritty complexity of the Stephen King novel. It was loud, absurd, and satirized broadcast television. The 2025 film, directed by Edgar Wright and written with Michael Bacall, wisely returns to the source material, setting its terrifying vision not in a far-off future, but in a dystopia that is uncomfortably near. This America is ruled by corporate media networks, where the average person lives in poverty and crucial necessities like healthcare are brutally tied to wealth. The masses are kept pacified by a constant barrage of trashy, violent reality shows on Freevee. Pillar 1: the personal stakes and the blacklisting. The remake makes Ben Richards' motivation intensely personal, grounding the action in heart-wrenching reality. Glenn Powell's Richards is not the framed cop of the '87 film. He's a blacklisted blue-collar worker. He has a strong moral compass, but his anger, his tendency to hulk out on behalf of the bullied, led him to call out unsafe practices, resulting in a permanent blacklist from legitimate work. This is the first piece of commentary. The dystopia is maintained not by barbed wire, but by corporate control over employment. The greatest weapon against dissent is economic destruction. Richards lives in the slums of Co-op City with his wife, Sheila, and their infant daughter, Kathy. Kathy is chronically ill, suffering from influenza. The family cannot afford the medicine or the care. His wife is forced to take a hostess job at a sleazy club, contemplating favors just to bring in tips. Richards's desperation is not a plot device. It is a painfully relatable commentary on the reality of the U.S. healthcare system and crippling wealth inequality. Unable to afford to save his child, Richards attends auditions for game shows, hoping for any cash prize. He's spotted during an early rage-out by the super producer, Dan Killian, Josh Brolin Killian, with his wide, bright smile and amoral ruthlessness, recognizes Ben's defiant rage as pure, ratings-generating gold. Pillar 2: the algorithm of lies and digital fabrication. The true villain of the 2025 film isn't the hunters. It's the network itself and its complete control over information. The show, hosted by the impeccably dressed and merciless Bobby T. Thompson, Coleman Domingo, is rigged from the start. The network's first move is to rewrite Ben Richards' biography in real time. They don't just misrepresent him, they digitally fabricate his history. Killian uses AI for phony videos, portraying Ben as a psychopathic killer, a welfare queen, and a leech who would rather take handouts than earn a living. The original film used crude montage to distort the truth. The remake uses sophisticated deepfake technology to manufacture a killer the audience can feel justified in hunting. This is where the film finds its most piercing and terrifying contemporary relevance. The original film couldn't have imagined a world where the media could instantly and convincingly generate non-existent footage of a subject declaiming ugly contempt for the public. The 2025 Running Man is a direct critique of our post-truth era, where digital fabrication has become the primary tool of authoritarian control. The network doesn't need physical police. They have the entire populace acting as informants and bounty hunters, incentivized by cash prizes to report or kill a runner. Pillar 3: the hunters and the gamification of society. The hunters in the 2025 remake, led by the masked Evan McCone, Lee Pace, are the network's elite trackers. They are still professional, but the core mechanism of the game is its gamification of the civilian population. The runners are given a small head start and must send in a tape of themselves every day, but the genius and the cruelty of the network is how it turns the entire dystopian landscape into the arena. Civilians can earn significant rewards for informing on a runner or killing one themselves. This is the ultimate capitalist horror. The film shows a world where people in poverty are forced to prey upon one another. The network turns the oppressed into the enforcers, ensuring that the working class is too busy hunting their peers for cash to ever turn their anger toward the corporate dictatorship that caused their poverty in the first place. This concept, noted by critics, is the true triumph of capitalist ideology, getting the poor to compete with each other and leave the system alone. After narrowly escaping the network soldiers and the massive explosion he accidentally causes, Ben Richards is on the run for weeks, using his sheer physical grit and street smarts. He relies on the kindness of strangers, often members of a secret mutual aid network. His greatest physical challenge is surviving the hunters, but his greatest narrative challenge is overcoming the AI-driven propaganda machine. Richards realizes that the 30-day run for the billion-dollar prize is a complete lie. The game is rigged, and no one is ever intended to win. The problem is introduced when he finally meets Elton Parakis, Michael Cera, a rebel and zine publisher who represents the utopian hope of resistance. Parakis and his underground network believe that Richard's continued survival, his refusal to be silenced and murdered for ratings, can spark a genuine revolution against the network. The challenge is, how do you transmit the truth to a billion people whose loyalty and perception have been bought and programmed by the spectacle of your own suffering? Exploration Development, the Utopian Rebellion. The central section of the film involves Richards working with this sophisticated network of dissidents. Unlike the clumsy resistance in the 1987 film, this group is composed of blacklisted experts, a pro-runner podcaster, a gadgeteer, and genuine activists. They understand that the true battleground is the data stream. Richard's journey becomes an episodic, cross-country road movie, a key difference from the compressed single-night time frame of the 87 movie, where every encounter solidifies the political rot of their society. He witnesses the crippling cost of medicine, the desperation of the working class, and the constant fear of being informed on. He also sees the calculated ruthlessness of Killian and Bobby T, who continually manipulate the audience by showcasing Richard's angry outbursts and downplaying his humanity. They even make thinly veiled threats against his wife, Sheila, who is being exploited by the network to generate tips and sympathy votes. The rebels' plan is not to kill Killian, but to force the truth into the airwaves when the spectacle is at its absolute peak. They aim to not only broadcast the original, unedited footage proving Richard's innocence, but to expose the entire architecture of the system, the financial incentives, the government collusion, and the AI used to suppress dissent. They realize the greatest impact is not a bullet, but undeniable information. The climax arrives when Richards, through his incredible run and the rebels' assistance, manages to infiltrate the network's broadcast hub. He confronts Dan Killian, who in the chilling new plot detail is trying to lure Ben into accepting a deal, a highly lucrative position as the first winner, who is actually a plant, and a long-term contract to star in further franchise iterations. Richards, showing his moral strength, refuses to play along with the lie. In a desperate physical confrontation with the hunters, the rebels execute their plan. The climax is a beautiful, kinetic blend of Edgar Wright's signature style and powerful thematic substance. The transmission is hijacked. The screens surrounding the arena, which had been playing Killian's carefully curated feed, suddenly flicker and die. They are instantly replaced by a relentless, unedited stream of raw data, contracts, internal memos, and drone footage showing that the runners were not criminals, but political targets chosen at random. The true climax is not Richards killing a stalker, it's the moment of cognitive dissonance in the audience. The spectacle breaks down. The viewers, who have been cheering for Richards' death, are faced with the immediate, undeniable evidence of their manipulation. Killian, in a final, chilling act, doesn't try to deny the footage. He tries to monetize the denial. He screams into the microphone, offering a massive reward for anyone who can prove the leak is fake, turning the chaos into the next season finale. Edgar Wright's The Running Man is not merely an action thriller. It is a profound video essay on the fragility of truth in the face of mass-scale, profitable distraction. Ben Richards achieves an ideological victory by forcing the public to confront the horrifying reality that their entertainment is built on the destruction of the impoverished.